Please subscribe.
We should all be as fortunate as the 2019 Lexus GS average-size extravagance car. Regardless of the four-entryway's relative age among contenders, the Lexus GS still looks attractive, offers sensible extravagance highlights and well-being framework, and rivals a lower cost than progressively prominent contributions from Mercedes-Benz and BMW. This year, the GS pairs its powertrain menu somewhere around 1.5 breed is no more. What's left has long teeth, contrasted with the enormous forks, however carries out the responsibility outstandingly. The GS additionally avoids new cell phone similarity and other tech includes yet once more, doesn't approach customers to payloads for the benefit. The 2019 GS lands at a 5.6 on our scale on account of its worth and great looks. This year the GS is offered with a trio of motor potential outcomes: 4, 6, or 8-chamber control. The GS 300 gets the Turbo 4, the GS 350 gets a V6, and the GS-F gets an Elite V8. Its beginning cost is thousands, not as much as contenders from Mercedes-Benz or BMW, only $47,500 for a GS 300. However, we discover better an incentive in the GS 350F Sport that includes a bunch of execution redesigns. The Hypo GS-F direction's about $90,000, and its incentive tumbles down that high. The base GS 300 offers a 241-drive Turbo 4 that strains to drag the enormous car around. The GS 350 sports a recognizable V6 that causes 311 horsepower and feels too capable. All-wheel drive is discretionary on the GS 350, as well. The GS-F sports a 467 horsepower 5.0-liter V8 that is mercilessly fun with back-wheel drive. The best wheel drive, on the off chance that you ask us. Despite what's in the engine, the GS flaunts a supple ride that is for the most part pristine by greater wheels. In advance is the place you'll see us, indulged in multi-flexible seats where we can respect the cool encompassing LED lights. Base autos are furnished with every one of the necessities for average-size extravagance: 8.0-inch infotainment screen, Bluetooth availability, dynamic security highlights including programmed crisis braking, 17-inch wheels, and engineered calfskin upholstery. The GS 350 includes some little presentation equipment redesigns: cowhide, a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and bigger wheels for under $54,000, which is the place a portion of the greater folks begin with their V6 variants. The finicky Lexus infotainment framework can drive its clients to diversion. The 2019 GS skips Android Auto and Apple CarPlay similarity, which may some way or another be a cure. The Lexus GS has matured well. It's not simply the most attractive car in the Lexus lineup, it's among the most attractive moderate-size vehicles out and about. We'll miss it when it's gone, which might be soon. Yet for the present we can value it while the GS is still here. We give it a 7 out of 10 for good moves, all around, however recognize that it's not really crisp and a few choices don't look in the same class as others. The Lexus corporate axle grille is taking care of business on the GS, especially the F Sport treatment that avoids the extremely sharp steel flat bars for a work in bed. The tail sports solid even subjects, which joined with the substituting and ondulating shapes and squared-off bits gives us traces of mid-21st century BMW 7 Series. That is something worth being thankful for. The inside is for the most part even, as well, however scarcely exhausting. The enormous wonderful measures are sharp, with the exception of the simple clock, and the cool LED surrounding lights help add innovation to the maturing Lodge. This year, Lexus pared down the quantity of accessible powertrains in the GS from 4 to 3. A base Turbo 4 gives impetus in the GS 300, while a V6 offers great power in the GS 350. A V8 planted in the GS-F's nose is boisterous fun, yet maybe not down to earth. Our rating applies to the most famous pick for purchasers, the GS 300, that feels overpowered by its mass. That doesn't imprint the smooth ride fortunately, which encourages it acquire a point better than expected on our scorecard. It gets a 6. The base motor is a Turbo 4, obtained from different applications in the Lexus lineup. The 241 horsepower motor is burdened with more weight in the GS than those different vehicles, however, and it feels outgunned contrasted with Contenders' base Turbo 4 motors. It's cooperated with a 8-speed programmed and back-wheel drive just, which diminishes it of the weight, and extra weight, of driving 2 additional wheels. Like the RC300, the GS300 needs responsiveness of its comparatively controlled rivals. Accuse the transmission, fault the turbos, it doesn't make a difference, it's only a half advance behind our correct feet. Fortunately, contingent upon trim level, the V6-controlled GS 350 is definitely not a major advance up in cost or a major advance down for efficiency. The 311 horsepower V6 is combined to a similar 8-speed programmed in-back drive setup, a 6-speed programmed with all-wheel drive. It's increasingly conscious and dynamic in its capacity conveyance, a smoother ride with in excess of 25% more oomph than the Turbo 4. Our inclination is for the back-drive GS 350F Sport that packages a bunch of execution treats into the vehicle for good measure. The GS 350F Sport includes a torsion-constrained slip-back differential and variable proportion controlling framework that includes more keen turn-in at speed and an unflappable tail on twisty streets in case you're into that kind of thing. The Lexus GSF gets a smooth 5.0-liter V8 that makes 467 horsepower and drives the back wheels as it were. It's a mystery star out and about and enjoyable to drive, however its value comes toward other Contenders V8s that are progressively present-day, outfitted with turbos and all-wheel drive, and screamingly quick. See BMW M550i xDrive. Notwithstanding what's in the engine, the GS sports an autonomous multi-interface front and back suspension arrangement that is tuned for solace. The base 17-inch tires are the mildest, however even the F-Sport's 19-inchers aren't rebuffing. Look out for potholes, however, the GS 350F Sport incorporates back wheel controlling that can dial in up to 2 degrees of inverse or pair guiding with the front wheels to draw a more tightly line at high speeds, or essentially abbreviate the wheelbase at lower speeds. The 2019 Lexus GS mixes extravagance materials with satisfactory space for individuals and freight. It comes up short on the richness found in a portion of its rivals, yet the GS sports a lower sticker price. The multi-movable front seats are the best seats, as per us. We give the 2019 GS a 6 out of 10 for solace. Base adaptations of the GS are furnished with 10-way control flexible front seats that are agreeable and offer a simple, common driving position. Those seats can be moved up to 18-way control customizable seats in F-Sport forms that are progressively movable, yet need reinforcing to satisfy the exhibition guarantee. The back seats aren't as pleasing. Normal grown-ups will fit fine in the detachable seats, yet the center position is best left for youngsters or thin-bore grown-ups. Lexus cites about 37 crawls of back seat extra space, however our knees weren't persuaded. A 6'3" manager attempted to fit behind somebody of comparable size. The Lexus GS sports in excess of 18 cubic feet of freight room, yet the storage compartment is moderately shallow. A simple pass-through makes putting away long things simpler, for example, skis or different golf packs. Like different Lexus items, the ergonomics of the GS are head-scratchers now and then. The infotainment controller leaves an ungainly hole in the inside comfort that is a magnet for pieces. The littler 8.0-inch touchscreen isn't very well coordinated into the dash, and the extravagance must simple check in the dash is little to such an extent that it's for all intents and purposes an eye test. Given the model's relative age, the essential structure goes back to 2011. It's not liable to be smashed for the sake of science soon. We're retaining our well-being score until more information arrives, which is far-fetched. Shy of authority crash information, the GS is furnished with a suite of dynamic well-being highlights that incorporates programmed crisis braking, versatile voyage control, and dynamic path control. Vulnerable side screens are standard on all renditions of the GS. Outward vision on the Lexus GS is for the most part great, and the vehicle is anything but difficult to leave. Stopping sensors are discretionary on the GS and supportive, yet not carefully important. Lexus doesn't miss the essential extravagance equipment for fair-size cars in its GS. However, it needs top alternatives to contend with overwhelming hitters in the class. The Lexus GS begins around $47,500 and is well furnished with 17-inch wheels, LED headlights, a moonroof, 10-way control, customizable front seats, Bluetooth availability, 2 USB power plugs, 8.0-inch screen for infotainment, and a functioning well-being suite that we spread above. The enormous Lexus needs Apple CarPlay and Android Auto similarity, so we hold back before giving it a point better than expected for good base gear, and we have blended emotions about the infotainment framework that is given. The 8.0-inch screen, upgradable to 12.3 inches, is sharp, yet the finicky touchpad drives us to diversion. At last, the GS washes out to 5 out of 10. Lexus sells the GS to a great extent as indicated by its powertrain, with a sprinkling of alternatives among the pack. The Turbo 4-controlled GS 300 accompanies a F-Sport appearance bundle. The V6 fueled GS 350 is accessible with F-Sport or all-wheel drive. The superior GS-F is mono-spec and is a sleeper pick at stoplights. We choose the V6-controlled GS 350F Sport for around $53,000 to begin, since it's not exactly similarly fueled contenders and skirts the shaving razor grille of the ordinary GS. The GS 350F Sport offers 18-way control, customizable front seats, calfskin upholstery, an overhauled 12.3-inch infotainment show, 19-inch wheels, route, a torsion back constrained slip differential, and variable controlling arrangement. An also optioned 2019 BMW 540i costs near $65,000. That is moderately great incentive for purchasers that aren't searching for the best in class. The 2019 GS-F is enticing with its V8 growl and relative selectiveness, yet at about $90,000 to begin, it's worth tumbles down contrasted with a completely stacked BMW M550i xDrive that expense is about the same.